Welcome to you all in the book reading club of AmritaDatta. We are starting to read the book The Law of Forgiveness. Tap into the positive power of forgiveness and attract good things to your life. Written by Connie, Domino. So, as we start the book, we'll start it with the foreword, and chapter wise we'll read the book. So please be with us and enjoy the reading and implement the things which is over here in the book. So let's proceed. Foreword. The book you are about to read will change your life. In fact, if you asked me to identify the quickest way to change your life, my answer would be just one word: forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key to moving beyond your past and unlocking the treasures of the future. It transforms you and moves you into a brand new world that is beyond your wildest dreams. Love, prosperity, peace, it's all there for you. All you have to do is reach out and grab it. How do I know? Because this is exactly what happened to me when I met Connie Domino. Simply put, forgiveness changed my life. To properly explain my journey of forgiveness, let me briefly explain where I came from. I was raised in New York City by an upper middle class family. Anger, fear, greed, and alcoholism were daily visitors in my house, while love and respect were rarely seen. It was an extremely dark childhood, and I fled from it as soon as I was old enough. I won't go into what happened, but anyone who grew up in a dysfunctional family can fill in the blanks. Let's just say that it was a very dark world for me. By my 18th birthday, all the garbage that had gone on in my family started to make me angry. However, unlike most people who let their anger come out, I stuffed my anger inside and presented a neutral face to the world so that I could pretend everything was all right. I swallowed my feelings and continued to go on. Not a very healthy thing to do. By the age of 25, the anger inside me started to affect my posture as my shoulders started to curve and stoop, making me look like an old woman. It was almost as if the weight of the anger was literally wearing me down, which of course it was. It got so bad that when I walked down the street, I would look down at my feet, rarely looking anyone in the eye. It was amazing that I did not bump into things. By the age of 35, I had so much pent-up anger stored in my body that I was starting to get sick all the time. Every week, I had something new: colds, flu, bronchitis, pneumonia, you name it. I seem to get it. The dark years, as I affectionately refer to them now, had worn down my self-esteem to almost nothing, and I became quite adept at dressing up the past and walling into it. I looked at the world through negative glasses and saw it as a hard and cold place. I had been deeply wounded to the very core of my being, and I did not know how to move past it. The anger even affected my business, as the company my husband and I were trying to start was struggling to get off the ground. We had clients, of course, but every day was a struggle to survive. By this time, I hit my 40s. Money was tight and bankruptcy was knocking on our door. It was about this time that I began to understand that the anger was eating me alive. So began my journey of self-discovery, a journey that lasted for the next several years. I learned now to get in touch with my intuition, and then I learned how to listen to it and trust it. I read books, attended workshops, and really started to listen to my inner voice, intuition. In 2001, I even wrote a book about it called God. Is That You? I learned to trust the guidance that I was being given, and I learned to follow my heart. My journey had begun. Life got better. Our finances started to improve, and I began to understand the past and those dark years of so long ago. I could not forgive my family for what they had done, but I understood it and was able to move beyond it. And by following my inner voice, I was able to get our finances straightened out, and our company started to move forward. What I did not understand back then was that there was still some anger stuffed deep down inside myself that I consciously did not know was still there. I was healing, but that little core of heart was preventing me from reaching my full potential in my business and in my life. The following year, something incredible happened that changed my life forever. It allowed me to finally move beyond the past and into a world of love and peace. Since then, our business has taken off like a brush fire. We never feel that bankruptcy that we would be considering, and we are now debt free. And my childhood family is a piece of history that I can calmly look back at and even write about with no anger at all. It's all if the hard drive in my brain has been erased and a new program filled with love, respect, peace, integrity, and kindness is running in place of the old program. I am filled with an unbelievable amount of love now, and I look at the world positively. The anger that was inside of me for over 40 years is gone forever. What happened? It was the spring of 2003, and I was at an exposition exhibiting one of my books when my intuition, inner voice, nudged me to go over to meet a woman who was talking about the workshop she gave. It was Connie Domino. About a week or so later, Connie taught me about the law of forgiveness. It was the last piece I needed in my journey of self-discovery, and I was finally ready for it. Even though most of Connie's forgiveness students progress more quickly, for me, the forgiveness lesson took more than a year to complete because it was like peeling back the layers of an onion. One layer led to another, which led to another, and so on. Every layer brought up a few more memories, causing me to forgive a few more people each time. Eventually, I reached that inner core of anger, and the onion is gone. But it sure took a while. Connie encouraged me by saying that persistent pace, because even if it takes some people longer than others, it's so worth it. After attending Connie's class, I sat down on my bed and decided to start with the easy grudges from my past, leaving the harder ones for last. Why? Mostly because I was not ready to forgive my parents right at that moment. That leap was just too huge for me. So I closed my eyes and a name immediately formed in my mind, which was interesting because I had not thought of this person in a very long time. It was an old friend of mine from high school. We had a falling out years ago and had not spoken to each other since. Looking back, I could easily see what had happened between us and found that I could finally forgive her completely. I immediately, out loud in the empty room, said the forgiveness affirmation that I had learned in Connie's class, and then I went downstairs for a cup of tea. 2 hours later, my friend called me on the phone. I had not heard from her in years. After we patched things up, I got curious and asked her why, after all these years, she decided to call me today. She said that 2 hours before, which was the exact time that I was saying my affirmation, and an earring that I had given her in high school fell off her bureau, and it made her think about me, so she decided to call. Unbelievable. This empowered me to continue with my forgiveness plan, especially as I started to feel a little better. So I kept going and forgave more and more people from my past. It took me quite a few days to do because I only did a few at a time, but soon I had given everyone I could think of. A few weeks later, I was even able to forgive myself. Then an amazing thing happened. I started to feel better physically. I was no longer getting sick, and my head felt cleaner somehow. I felt like I had woken up from a long sleep. My posture even got better as I started to stand up straighter. Then an even more amazing thing happened. The sales from our company started to increase. Absolutely incredible. Why did my company's sales go up just as I was forgiving people from my past? I could not believe that the two were related, and yet they were. I was living proof that the law of forgiveness works. As the weeks passed, I found that the more people I forgave, the more my life changed for the better. I began to see the world in a more positive light. People around me started to notice that I looked different and began to ask me if I had changed my hair or lost weight. My skin even looked better. About 6 months later, my family decided to revisit a question that had been weighing on our minds, whether to sell or keep a family home that had belonged to my late grandfather. Unfortunately, as is usual in my family, people were fighting over what should be done with it. Everyone had a different opinion and no one could agree on anything. Weeks turned into months with no end in sight. One night, as I was sitting on my bed watching television, it occurred to me that if I could get my family into one room together, they could finally forgive each other and move on. It had worked so well in my life that I was sure it would help them. I also knew that to sell the house, they would have to get past their anger for each other. Unfortunately, this was not logistically possible since most of them had already passed away, and the ones who were still around lived in different parts of the United States, not to mention the fact that many of them were not speaking to each other. So, upon Connie's suggestion, I decided to do it virtually. Can you imagine your childhood bedroom in your mind right now? Can you see the bed? Can you see the color of the walls? This is what I am talking about, visualization. So that night, I sat down on my bed and daydreamed. I literally directed a virtual play about what I wanted to happen, and I watched it unfold in my mind. I imagined that my family members were standing next to one another around a big table. My family had broken into warring factions years ago, but now I envision the fighting family units standing with each other. I then imagined that I was at the head of the table and I told them about forgiveness, what it would do for their lives, and how it had changed mine. I saw them all in my mind and I spoke out loud to them. Let's just ignore the fact that I was talking to my empty bedroom. I then imagined that I turned to each family group and told them to talk to the others to see if they could come to a place of forgiveness. I watched each family group talk and I smiled when they said forgiveness affirmation for each other. I imagined that my brother and father spoke to each other and forgave each other. I then imagined that they all said my forgiveness affirmation in unison and I made them hug one another after they did it. It was done. Of course, I am pretty sure that they would never do this in real life, but this was my daydream and I could imagine anything that I wanted to write. Even if it did not work, at least I felt better about all of it. The next day, the strangest thing happened. After exchanging a few emails with my family, I found myself becoming the lead in the family negotiations, which was odd in itself, as I am the youngest in the family. I took a deep breath and shot off dozens of emails to family members and had the matters peacefully settled in front 8 hours. The house sold just weeks later, which was really amazing because the family had been talking about it for years. A few months later, I was cleaning out our garage and I stumbled across an old box that belonged to my late father. There really was not much inside of it, just a few diplomas, some old pictures, and a coffee mug. I took the pictures out of the box and idly flipped through them. Then it happened. I came across a wedding picture of my parents, and as I stared at it, I saw their lives flash before my eyes. I could see the world they lived in and the choices they made because of it. I saw the entire generation in an instant and was left with the feeling that they had done the best they could. Tears fell down my face as I forgave my parents instantly, and I said my forgiveness affirmation as I stood there. As I walked back to the kitchen, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. The weight I would carried on my shoulders was lighter somehow. Crazy, right? And yet I undeniably felt the burden lift, and I had finally reached that inner core of anger. I was done and finally ready to move forward into a brand new world. Forgiveness causes things to move fast, so buckle your seat belt. It's hard to move forward if you are constantly looking backward. The anger that you are holding on to is a form of energy that gets bottled up inside of you. It becomes twisted and strange, makes you sick, and prevents you from moving forward in your life. Soon the anger is all you can think about, and it becomes your entire focus. You live in, breathe it, dream it, and drink it in every day. Sure, you can stuff it down deep inside yourself, but it's still sitting there quietly like a poisonous snake ready to strike at any time. You can even tell yourself that you have forgiven the person, but have you really? Do you still feel angry at the mention of the person's name? Once you forgive someone, the energy is released and everything begins to flow in the proper direction. It's like a river that has a dam on it. Remove the dam and the water begins to flow again. Fish, ducks, turtles, and geese return. That's forgiveness. After I forgave everyone, my life began to flow again, and I am now in a place that is filled with peace, prosperity, and love. I can look back in my past, and now I can see the love that was there. I can even see my lighthouses, the people who showed me the way out. They guided me through the storms of life and provided light for me to follow out of the darkness. They showed me how to negotiate the rocks and navigate through the fog and severe storms that came along in my life. My lighthouses are the people I remember now. In fact, I really cannot remember those dark days very well any longer. It's as if they have been erased from my mind and are now gone completely. This was confirmed recently when my two sons asked me about my childhood, and I could not remember a lot of it. Stunned, I tried harder to come up with something to tell them, and in the end, managed to remember a few funny stories. What makes this so incredible is that only a few years ago I could recount all sorts of things. Today it's gone completely and has been replaced by heavy memories. It's as if the negativity has been erased from my hard drive and replaced with positive memories. Of course, I can dredge things up if I really think about it, but I have no desire to do so anymore. The past has been healed and I have moved on. When did I know that I was finally through it all and on the other side? When did I know that I had finally forgiven them all? It was the day when I realized that my family no longer had the kind of power over me that I once allowed them to have. They no longer caused an emotional reaction in me when I thought of them. I could finally look at them with peace and understanding and knew the past no longer mattered to me. It was over. That's when I knew that I had finally moved on. Forgiveness is a journey. I am constantly surprised at the doors that have opened for me because of it. People that I thought were gone for good have returned, and situations that I thought were impossible to rectify have been miraculously turned around. Forgiveness is transforming and offers you a new perspective and a fresh start. It's a journey that will continue for the rest of my life. Today, my world is filled with love and prosperity. I look at the world in a positive way and I am finally at peace. Now it's my turn to pass it forward to others who might be living where I was. My life's work is to be a lighthouse, to guide people safely to their harbors so that they can live a life of peace, love, and prosperity. Thank you, Connie. Thank you for being one of my lighthouses. Thank you for providing a light to guide us all out of the darkness. Catherine So Giovanni, author, speaker, consultant, international concierge training expert, and author of the new book Going Above and Beyond, How to Think and Act Like a Concierge. So this is the first foreword of the book and very first beginning of the book. Hope you liked it, and I request you to subscribe to my channel and share this audio as much as possible among the people if you feel so. I request you to be with us in this journey of forgiveness and the journey of book reading. Thank you everyone for your presence over here. Thank you so much.